Abel Cunningham here from 603 Bigfoot Scientist. I hope the audio comes through clearly with all the rain. I'll try to speak up. So ever since coming out in the public eye as New Hampshire's leading Bigfoot scientist, one of the questions I've been getting a lot is, what motivated me to become a Bigfoot scientist in the first place, dedicate my life to studying science and discovering the truth about Bigfoot. And so I thought it was only fair, considering that, I've been sharing stories from other witness accounts, from other witnesses who've had encounters with Bigfoot, that I share my own story, my own witness account as to why I personally became interested in these beautiful creatures and why I dedicated my life to finding out the truth about Bigfoot. And it goes back to when I was 11 or 12 years old. I think I was in 6th or 7th grade. I don't remember exactly. But back at that time, I was a little bit of a troublemaker, to be honest, before I dedicated myself to science. I like to, get in the occasional fist fight, shoot spitballs at the occasional person that I didn't like in class, that sort of thing. Nothing serious, but from time to time it led to me getting detentions after school. And my parents, when I got a detention after school, the way they added a little bit of extra punishment on top of it is they told me that I had to walk home from the detention. They weren't going to pick me up, and they weren't even going to let me ride my bike home from school. And where I grew up in a very rural part of New Hampshire, my house, to get from my house to the school, was about a 5 to 6 mile drive. It took 15 minutes or so. So I'm sure that's what my parents had in mind when they set that punishment out. But the way the geography was, our house was here and the roads kind of made a loop around. But if you were to cut through the hills between my house and the school, and there were a bunch of old jeep trails and logging trails out there, you could cut that total distance down from 5 to 6 miles to just under 2 miles. And so my brother and I, we knew about these trails through the woods, and we used to even ride our bikes to school sometimes, or ride our bikes down to the basketball court at the school. And we'd take those trails all the time. We actually figured out that we could, because we were kind of up on the hills, we could actually ride those trails into the school. And sometimes we could beat my mother in her car if she was going to school for some other reason. Because we were taking such a shorter distance and we were headed mostly downhill. So anyways, back to the story. When it came time for me to walk home from my detention, of course I'm not going to walk the 5 to 6 miles on the paved roads. I'm going to cut through the jeep trails and the logging roads through the hills that I already knew. So on this particular day, that's what happened. And it was late in the school year, so it was, late May, early June, something like that. So it was hot as hell out. And the reason that's important is because those jeep trails, logging trails, there was one little stream that ran through there and kind of crisscrossed one of the logging trails. And we used to go out there fishing. They had native brookies in there. We used to, have pretty good success hauling in the brookies in that stream. But also in a couple areas, the stream, there was a pool that was deep enough to actually swim in. And so on that particular day, it was so hot, I'm walking uphill to get home from school, and I figured I would take the shortcut through the woods, cut off into the stream, maybe cool off a bit. So that's what I was doing, and like I said, the stream kind of crisscrossed the trail, so to get to the pool where you could swim in, you had to go off the trail and you kind of had to follow the stream uphill to get to the rocky pool. And that particular spring, we've got a lot more rain than usual, or the snow had been more, I don't remember what. But for whatever reason, that stream was a lot higher. So, normally you could rock hop up the stream, but I'm kind of getting my feet wet. I was wearing Chuck Taylors, like I'm wearing now. And they were getting pretty soaked. So I've got my head down, I'm not really paying attention, I'm just trying to, get up to this pool where I can take a swim. And the last little bit before you get up to the pool is pretty steep, so you kind of almost climb up a little bank, and then the pool's there. And so I'm kind of slipping and sliding up that little bank to get up to where the pool is, and as I come up over that rise, that's when I saw the thing that changed my life. I came up over that hill, and I'll never forget it. Right in the middle of that stream, with 1 foot on one rock, 1 foot on another rock, there was a Bigfoot, and he was squatting down just like this, and he was doing his business. And the noise from the stream flowing, I don't think it even heard me coming up. And I saw it, and I kind of got, I didn't know what the heck to do. Only 11 years old, so I just kind of, I froze in my tracks. And I think it must have sensed that I was looking at it, because I wasn't moving at that point. I wasn't making any noise. All of a sudden, it just turned its head, and it was almost like it planned to do it. It's mid-squat, doing its business. It reaches down, grabs one of the turds, chucks it at me. I didn't even have time to react. The thing hit me right square in the chest, and it was more like a surprise than anything. It was just a turd. It didn't really hurt, but it knocked my balance off, and I slid back down that embankment that I had just scrambled up. I woke up, I don't know how much longer later. I must have hit my head on a rock or something. I had a big egg on the back of my head, and I remember looking down, and there's still pieces of the Bigfoot turd clinging to my it was actually my favorite No Fear Gear t-shirt. I don't know if you guys remember those. If you're a child of the 90s, that might sound familiar. If not, never mind, but it was my favorite t-shirt at the time. Said No Fear on it, whatever. So all I could think about was my t-shirt, so I'm like, take my shirt off, rinse it off in the stream as best I can, and I hurried home. I forgot about going for a swim. So, as you can imagine, after that happened, I was confused, embarrassed, pissed off, like something threw turd at me. That's not cool. And I told my best friend at the time. He didn't even believe me. He laughed at me. He said, "You're crazy, you're making it up, whatever, you're trying to get attention." So, my best friend doesn't believe me. I didn't tell anyone. I just said, you know what, this thing really pissed me off. I'm going to dedicate my life to science, and I'm going to find out the truth about what this is. And that's what I did. I didn't tell anyone. I just, I refocused my efforts in school, made sure I did really good in the science and math classes. When I went to the University of New Hampshire, it took me 7 years to graduate. Not because I didn't have good grades, but because I wanted to study every single science that's out there. I studied biology, astrology, dendrology, geology, anthropology. If there was an ology out there, I studied it. All because there's no such thing as Bigfootology in college. I just wanted to, get the most knowledge that I could to get myself ready to go out in the field and make a career as a Bigfoot scientist. And that's what I did. And that's what brought me to where I am here today. And I appreciate all of you who are following my channel and who are liking and subscribing and who are watching these videos. But I have to say, it's a weight off my chest to tell that story. I haven't told that story at all since I was 11 or 12 when I told my friend Josh, who, like I said, just laughed at me. So I hope you guys don't laugh at me. It's been a weight off my chest to share that story. And if you do want to share your encounters that you've had with Bigfoot or other strange things that have happened in the wild, please feel free to reach out to me. You can find my email on my website, which is www.603bigfoot.com. Thanks again, and thanks for following.